Hi guys, thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about a small portion of a larger idea. That larger idea is how to solve quadratic equations, and the small part we're going to address in this video is how to solve quadratic equations by using a graph. In the best case scenario, you're given a graph and you're asked to find the solutions. In a quadratic, the graph is always a parabola. It can be pointing up, it can be pointing down, it can be to the left or the right, but you're always looking for a parabola. And the solutions to a quadratic equation are where that parabola crosses the x-axis. Here you can see that the parabola crosses at positive 2, and again over here at negative 3. So it's very easy to say that the solution to this quadratic equation is at x equals negative 3 and at x equals 2. Of course, it's not always that easy. Sometimes you're given the quadratic equation or a quadratic equation and you still need to solve. We're always looking for quadratic equations that are set equal to 0. Once we know they're set equal to 0, we go to the y equals screen in our calculator and we enter the equation as we see it. We do not enter the equals 0, we just enter the left-hand side, x squared plus x minus 12 into y1. We can then press the graph key on our calculator and it will show us a picture of the parabola. In this case, we see that it does have two solutions, and those solutions are at x equals 3 on the right side and x equals negative 4 on the left. So that's how we write our solutions. It never hurts to prove what we're talking about in math, and using the equation from the previous slide, x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0, we found that the solutions were at negative 4 and 3. So let's put negative 4, it says x equals negative 4, so those two things are the same thing in this case. So I should be able to put negative 4 everywhere I see an x and still create a true statement. And in fact we do. Negative 4 squared is 16. This plus and this minus are multiplying, so the plus and the minus do give us a negative sign. And then again we're subtracting this 12. So we've got 16 minus 4 minus 12 equals 0. 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. It worked for negative 4. Let's see if it works for 3. 3 squared plus 3 minus 12 equals 0. 3 squared is 9. Plus 3 is 12. So we have 12 minus 12 equals 0. And so those numbers do make that equation a true statement. And that's what you're doing. Even though we're using the graphing method, and we're not necessarily doing the algebra, you're still looking for an equation that is algebraically true. Sometimes you'll have an extra step. For example, this is a quadratic equation, but it's not set equal to 0, it's equal to 6. But we can fix that with just a few steps. I need a 0 pair. I need another number that will, when combined together, will create a 0. And of course, the 0 pair with positive 6 is a negative 6. So I subtracted negative 6 on the right, and I need to do the same thing on the left of my equal sign. This 6 and negative 6 combine for a 0, and there's no like term on the left-hand side to combine this negative 6 with, so I simply insert it into the left-hand side of my equation, and I have x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0, and now I have the equation that I do want to enter into my calculator. I press y equals again, I enter this left-hand side just like I see it, and then I press graph. And it is obvious that it has two whole number solutions, and those two solutions are at x equals positive 6 and over here at x equals negative 1. Of course, the solution type or this method doesn't always work. We have here another quadratic equation. It's set equal to 0. Looks like everything's good to go. We put it in our calculator. We hit the y1 or the y equals screen. We enter it into the y sub 1 line, 4x squared minus 3x minus 3. When we press graph, we get a parabola. However, The solutions aren't easily recognizable in this case. If you'll notice, it's between 1 and 2 on this side, and it's between 0 and 1. 0 and -1 on this side. And the one thing that we don't do in math is we don't guess as to what the solutions are. We want to know that we're comfortable that we have the exact solution. So if you do not see exact whole number solutions, this isn't the right method to use. But never fear, there are different methods. Look for more videos for the other methods to solve. We can solve using tables. We also are going to talk about some algebraic methods, factoring, completing the square, and using the quadratic formula. Thanks guys very much for your time.